She poured the chamomile tea into my favorite mug, the one with the chipped rim that Kevin had made in third-grade art class. Amber smiled as she set it in front of me, that sugary smile that never quite reached her eyes. "Drink up, Linda. You look exhausted. This will help you sleep." I wrapped my hands around the warm ceramic and watched her walk away, her yoga pants swishing, her ponytail bouncing. Through the kitchen window, I could see my son loading the dishwasher, his shoulders hunched the way they always were lately. I didn't drink the tea. Instead, I waited until Amber left for her Pilates class. Then I poured it down the sink and rinsed the mug 3 times. The light on the smoke detector blinked twice. Red, then green. Recording. It had been 8 months since Richard died. 8 months since the heart attack took him on a Tuesday morning while he was reading the paper. 8 months since I'd moved into Kevin and Amber's house in Maple Ridge, supposedly just until I got back on my feet. That's what we all said. Temporary. Just for a while. Until Mom figures things out. But Amber had other plans. It started small. The kind of thing you tell yourself you're imagining because the grief is making you paranoid. My reading glasses would disappear from the nightstand. My medication bottles would be moved. Once, I found my diabetes pills in the bathroom trash can, half empty. "Oh, Mom," Amber had said when I mentioned it, her hand on my arm, her voice dripping with concern. "Are you sure you didn't throw them away by accident? Kevin, we really need to talk about this." The way she said "talk about this" made my stomach turn. I'm 65 years old. I taught high school English for 37 years. I've read Hamlet enough times to recognize when someone's plotting murder, even if it's the slow, careful kind. The kind that looks like accidents. The kind that looks like dementia. That night, I ordered a set of hidden cameras on Amazon. Smoke detectors, phone chargers, even a clock on my nightstand. I used Richard's old credit card, the one that still came to our old address, the one I'd never closed. The bills went to a P.O. box I'd rented. The same day, I realized what was happening. I documented everything. The tea was attempt number 7. By then, I'd caught her putting something in my orange juice, caught her mixing up my pills, caught her whispering to Kevin late at night about warning signs in memory care facilities, and while she still has assets to pay for it. That last part was what gave it away. The assets. Richard and I had been careful, frugal. We'd paid off the mortgage on our little house in Riverside 20 years ago. We'd saved. We'd invested. When he died, I'd inherited everything, and Amber knew it. She'd been there when the lawyer read the will. She'd seen the life insurance payout, the retirement accounts, the modest stock portfolio that had somehow grown into something substantial. Kevin didn't care about money. He never had. He was a software engineer, made good money, lived comfortably. But Amber had quit her marketing job the month after they got married, claiming she wanted to focus on wellness. She'd started an Instagram account about mindful living, 300 followers, no income. She needed my money, and she needed me gone. "Mom?" Kevin's voice came from the doorway. "You okay? You've been staring at that mug for like 5 minutes." I looked up at my son. He had Richard's eyes, kind eyes, worried eyes. He'd been working 60-hour weeks lately, trying to make senior engineer. He left before Sophie went to school and came home after she'd finished her homework. He didn't see what happened in his house during the day. "I'm fine, honey. Just thinking about your father." He crossed the room and kissed the top of my head. "I know. I miss him too. Listen, Amber and I were talking. We think maybe it would be good for you to have more support, more social interaction. There's a really nice community about 20 minutes from here, Active Senior Living. They have art classes, book clubs, a beautiful dining room, a nursing home." "No, Mom, not a nursing home. It's independent living. But with, help available if you need it. Amber found it. She's worried about you. We both are." I looked at my son, this man I'd raised, whose scraped knees I'd bandaged, whose college essays I'd edited, whose wedding I'd helped pay for, $32,000 for that wedding. Amber had wanted the venue at the Botanical Gardens. The orchids flown in from Hawaii. The 7-tier cake. What kind of help does she think I need? Kevin shifted his weight. Wouldn't meet my eyes. You've been forgetting things. The pills. Your glasses. Last week you left the stove on, Amber says. The stove was fine. I turned it off. She found it on 3 hours later. Mom, you could have burned the house down. I hadn't left the stove on. I'd watched Amber turn it on herself, then call Kevin at work in a panic. I'd watched the whole thing on my phone, sitting in my bedroom, the camera feed crystal clear. Maybe I should look at this place, I said quietly. Kevin's face brightened. Really? That's great, Mom. Amber will be so relieved. She's been really stressed about this. It's been hard on her, having someone else in the house. Not that we don't love you, he added quickly, but it's an adjustment. I understand. When did you want to go? How about Saturday? I'll take the morning off. We can all go together. Amber's already set up a tour. Of course she had. That night, I sat in my room with my laptop open, the door locked. Sophie had slipped a note under it an hour earlier. Grammy, are you okay? Can we talk? My granddaughter. 16 years old, whip smart, saw everything. She'd been watching too, but I couldn't involve her. Not yet. Not in something that could turn ugly. I clicked through the camera feeds, reviewed the footage from the past week, saved it all to the cloud, to 3 different accounts, to a USB drive I kept in my purse. I'd learned a lot about technology in the past 8 months. Necessity, as they say. Then I opened the spreadsheet, the one I'd been keeping since the first week I moved in. Kevin's college tuition, $43,000. Richard and I had paid every penny so he wouldn't have debt. Kevin's first car, $12,000. Used, but reliable. He'd driven it until it had 200,000 miles. The down payment on this house, $50,000. We'd given it to them as a wedding gift. Amber had cried and hugged me and called me the best mother-in-law in the world. Kevin's wedding, $32,000. The loan that was never repaid when Kevin lost his first job, $18,000. Sophie's private school tuition, the first 2 years, $26,000. The total sat at the bottom of the spreadsheet, $181,000. I'd given them $181,000 over the years, not because I expected it back, because they were family, because that's what you do. But maybe Amber needed to be reminded that I hadn't always been a burden. The tour of Meadowbrook Senior Living was scheduled for 10 o'clock Saturday morning. I dressed carefully, sensible shoes, my good slacks. The pearl earrings Richard had given me for our 30th anniversary. Amber drove. Kevin sat in front. I sat in back with Sophie, who held my hand the whole way and wouldn't look at her mother. The facility was nice. I'll give it that. Bright common areas, wide hallways, handrails everywhere, and emergency buttons in every room. The director, a woman named Patricia with an aggressive perm, gave us the full sales pitch. We have 3 levels of care, she explained as we walked. Independent living, assisted living, and memory care. Most of our residents start in independent living and transition as needed. That's perfect, Amber said. She'd linked her arm through Kevin's, playing the concerned daughter-in-law. Linda has been showing some signs. Forgetfulness, confusion. We just want her somewhere safe. Patricia nodded sympathetically. It's a difficult decision, but you're doing the right thing. Family members often wait too long. How old are you, Linda? 65. And when did you start noticing the memory issues? I opened my mouth, but Amber answered for me. About 6 months ago, right after her husband passed. The grief really accelerated it. Some days she doesn't even remember where she is. Do you, Linda? She looked at me, smiled that smile. No, I said softly. Some days, I don't. Kevin squeezed my shoulder. Sophie's hand tightened in mine. Well, the good news is we have excellent memory care here, Patricia said. State of the art. Secure units, of course, for the residents' safety. Shall we look at some available rooms? The independent living apartments were small but adequate. One bedroom, a kitchenette, a bathroom with grab bars. The assisted living rooms were smaller. The memory care rooms were cells, clean, bright cells with coated doors and windows that didn't open. The wait list for memory care is usually 3 to 6 months, Patricia said. But for independent living, we have immediate availability. Perfect, Amber said. What's the monthly rate? For independent living, $5,000. Assisted living is $7,000. Memory care is $9,500. Kevin went pale. I watched the math happen on his face. 9,500 times 12. 114,000 a year. But there's a buy-in option, Patricia added quickly. You pay $150,000 up front, and the monthly rate drops to $3,000 for life. That's very reasonable, Amber said. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. Linda, you have that in your savings, don't you? From the life insurance? All three of them looked at me. Kevin anxious, Sophie scared, Amber triumphant. I'll need to think about it, I said. We drove home in silence. Sophie still held my hand. When we pulled into the driveway, I said I needed to lie down. I went to my room, closed the door, and sat on the bed with my phone. The footage from the car was perfect. Amber's voice clear as day. Linda has that in her savings, don't you? From the life insurance. She didn't even ask if I wanted to move. Just started spending my money. I'd been teaching for 37 years. I'd taught Romeo and Juliet so many times I could recite it in my sleep. I knew about dramatic timing. I knew you don't rush to the final act. You let the tension build. You give the villain enough rope. So I waited. Monday morning, Amber made me scrambled eggs. I watched her crack them into the pan, watched her reach for something in the spice cabinet, watched her glance over her shoulder before shaking something into the eggs. I ate half the eggs, told her they tasted funny, scraped the rest into a Ziploc bag when she wasn't looking. That afternoon, while she was at yoga, I drove to the police station. The officer at the desk looked about Sophie's age. He listened to my story with increasing skepticism until I pulled out my phone and showed him the video. Amber poisoning the tea, the orange juice, the eggs that morning. Ma'am, he said slowly, this is attempted murder. I know. We need to contact Adult Protective Services. We need to remove you from that home immediately. No, he blinked. No, not yet. I need you to do something for me first. I showed him the spreadsheet. The $181,000. I want this documented. I want a lawyer present, and I want my son there when we do this. The officer called his supervisor. The supervisor called a detective. The detective, a woman named Maria Gonzalez, sat with me for 2 hours and went through every video, every photo, every scrap of evidence I'd collected. Mrs. Bennett, she said finally, you could have died. I know, but I won't, because I've been very careful. And now I want justice. Not just for me, for my son. He needs to see who he married. Detective Gonzalez looked at me for a long moment. Then she smiled. You were an English teacher? 37 years. I had a teacher like you. Taught me that knowledge is power. Looks like you paid attention to your own lesson. We planned it for Wednesday evening. Kevin would be home. Sophie would be at her friend's house. Amber would be trapped. I spent Tuesday pretending to be confused. I asked Amber the same question 3 times. I put my shoes in the refrigerator. I called her by the wrong name. She practically glowed. That evening, I heard her on the phone. The memory care application is submitted. I'm thinking we move her by the end of the month. Then we can renovate this room. I've always wanted a home gym. Kevin's response was too quiet to hear, but I heard the doubt in his voice. My son was beginning to wake up. Wednesday morning, I packed a small bag. Just the essentials. Enough for a few days. I put it in my car when Amber was in the shower. At 5 o'clock, Kevin came home. At 5:15, Detective Gonzalez rang the doorbell. I answered it. Amber came running from the kitchen, her face arranged in concern. Linda, who is it? You shouldn't answer the door. Kevin. Your mother answered the door again. Mrs. Bennett? Detective Gonzalez said. May I come in? Of course. Amber's face changed when she saw the badge. What's this about? I'm Detective Gonzalez. I need to speak with Mrs. Bennett and her family. Is your husband home? Kevin appeared in the hallway, his tie loosened, confusion written all over his face. I'm her son. What's going on? Perhaps we should sit down. We sat in the living room. The same living room where Richard and I had given Kevin and Amber the down payment check, where we'd celebrated Sophie's birthdays, where I'd held my son when he cried after his father's funeral. Detective Gonzalez opened her laptop. Mrs. Bennett, can you confirm that this is your daughter-in-law, Amber Bennett? Yes. And this is your home? No, this is my son's home. I've been staying here since my husband died. Amber's leg was bouncing. Kevin looked between us, lost. Mom, what is this? Kevin, I said quietly, I need you to watch something. Detective Gonzalez turned the laptop to face them. She pressed play. The first video was from the kitchen. Amber pouring something into my orange juice. The timestamp showed 3 weeks ago. Kevin's face went white. What is that? Amber, what are you doing? That's not what it looks like. I was adding vitamins. Linda, tell him. You asked me to put vitamins in your juice. I never asked you to do that, I said. You don't remember. You forget everything. Detective Gonzalez played the next video. Amber switching my pill bottles. Then the tea. Then the eggs from Monday morning. Mrs. Bennett, the detective said. What has your daughter-in-law been adding to your food and drinks? I pulled the Ziploc bag with the eggs from my purse. I saved this. I'd like it tested. Kevin stood up, sat down, stood up again. This isn't real. Mom, you've been confused. You set this up. You staged this. Kevin, I said. I kept my voice level, calm. The same voice I'd used when he was 7 and broke the neighbor's window. When he was 16 and wrecked the car. When he needed his mother to tell him the truth. I have 8 months of footage. Would you like to see more? Amber was crying now. Big, dramatic tears. She's crazy. Kevin, your mother is having delusions. She's been putting cameras in our house, spying on us. This is elder paranoia. We need to get her to a doctor. To Meadowbrook. They can help her. Meadowbrook? I said. The memory care facility where Amber has already submitted an application in my name. The one that costs $9,500 a month. My money. Not Kevin's. Mine. I pulled out the spreadsheet, handed it to Kevin, watched him read through the numbers, watched him realize how much his mother had given him over the years, how much his wife was planning to spend. The buy-in option is $150,000, I continued. Amber didn't ask if I wanted to go. She just started planning how to spend my life insurance payout. There's a video of that too, from the car. Saturday. You recorded us in the car? Amber's tears had stopped. Her voice was sharp now. That's illegal. You can't record people without consent. Actually, Detective Gonzalez said, in this state, only one party needs to consent to a recording. Mrs. Bennett consented to her own recordings, and given the evidence of attempted harm, these recordings are admissible. Attempted harm? Kevin's voice cracked. Detective, what are you saying? I'm saying, Mr. Bennett, that your wife has been systematically poisoning your mother. We'll need to test that food sample, but based on the videos, we have enough for an arrest warrant. Amber stood up. This is insane. Kevin, I was trying to help. Your mother has dementia. She's dangerous. She left the stove on. I never left the stove on, I said quietly. You turned it on and called Kevin. There's a video of that too. Kevin turned to his wife, really looked at her for the first time in months, maybe years. Tell me it's not true. Kevin, tell me you weren't poisoning my mother. I was trying to help her sleep. She was anxious, stressed. What were you giving her? Detective Gonzalez asked. Amber's mouth snapped shut. We'll find out when we test the eggs, the detective said. And Mrs. Bennett's blood. And we'll compare it to what's in your bathroom cabinet, your bedroom, your car. Kevin sat down heavily, put his head in his hands. Oh my God. Oh my God. Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't see it. I know, honey. But why? Why would she? He looked at Amber, and I watched him understand. Watched him see his wife the way I'd seen her for months. The money, he said softly. It was always about the money. Amber's face twisted. You have no idea what it's like. Your mother in our house, every day, interfering, judging, taking up space. And Kevin, you're so blind, so stupid, just until she gets back on her feet. She was never going to leave. She was going to drain us dry. I had to do something. So you tried to kill her? I was going to put her somewhere safe, somewhere appropriate, and yes, use her money to pay for it. Money she should have given us years ago. Money you were too weak to ask for. Kevin looked at his wife like he'd never seen her before. Get out. What? Get out of my house. The house my mother bought for us. Get out now. You can't kick me out. This is my home. I'm your wife. Mrs. Bennett, Detective Gonzalez said, standing. I'm going to need you to come with me. We have some questions, and given the evidence, I'll be pursuing charges for attempted murder, elder abuse, and fraud. Amber looked at me then, really looked at me, and for the first time since I'd moved in, I didn't see condescension or fake concern. I saw rage. Pure, undiluted rage. You old bitch, she hissed. You planned this. You set me up. No, I said calmly. You set yourself up. I just documented it. They arrested her right there. Put handcuffs on her while she screamed about lawyers and wrongful arrest and how I was a crazy old woman and none of this would hold up in court. After they left, Kevin and I sat in silence. The house felt different. Emptier. Cleaner, somehow. Mom, he said finally, I am so sorry. I know. I should have seen it. I should have protected you. I thought you were getting old, slowing down. I thought I was helping. You were working. You were tired. She was very good at what she did. How long did you know? About 2 months in, when I found my diabetes pills in the trash. And you stayed? Why didn't you leave? Why didn't you tell me? I looked at my son. My boy, because you needed to see it yourself. If I'd just told you, you wouldn't have believed me. You'd have defended her, made excuses. She was counting on that. On you choosing her over me. I'm so sorry. Stop apologizing. You didn't do this. She did. What happens now? Now? I stood up, smoothed my slacks. Now I go stay with Margaret from my book club for a few days. Now you file for divorce. Now you explain to Sophie why her mother isn't coming home. And now we all start over. You're not going back to Riverside? Eventually. But not yet. I think you need me. And Sophie definitely does. Kevin hugged me then. The kind of hug he used to give me when he was small and scared of thunderstorms. I love you, Mom. I love you too, honey. That night, Sophie came home early from her friend's house. She must have known something was wrong. She found me in my room, packing my things. Grammy? Hey, sweetheart. Where's Mom? I sat on the bed, patted the space next to me. Sophie sat, and I took her hand. Your mom is gone. She's not coming back. Your dad will explain everything. Sophie was quiet for a moment. Then, I knew she was doing something. I saw her mess with your pills once. I told Dad, but he said I was mistaken, that Mom wouldn't do that. Oh, honey, I should have helped you. I should have. You did help me, just by being here, by being kind. That's what got me through. She hugged me tight. Are you leaving? Just for a few days. Then I'll come back, if you want me to. I want you to. I always want you to. A week later, Amber was charged with 3 counts of attempted murder, elder abuse, fraud, and a dozen other things I couldn't keep track of. Her bail was set at $500,000. She couldn't afford it. Kevin filed for divorce. The house that I'd helped buy was in his name only. Amber had no claim to it. The test results came back on the eggs, Ambien, crushed up and mixed in. Enough to make me drowsy, confused. Enough to make me look like I had dementia. If she'd kept it up, eventually it would have been enough to kill me. I moved back to my house in Riverside 3 months later. Kevin and Sophie visit every Sunday. We have dinner. We play board games. We don't talk about Amber unless Kevin needs to, and then we do. Sophie asked me once why I didn't leave earlier, why I stayed and collected evidence instead of just getting out. Because, I told her, I needed proof. I needed your father to see the truth, and I needed to protect you. If I'd just left, she would have moved on to someone else, done this to someone else's family. Now, she can't. You're brave, Grammy. No, sweetheart. I'm just stubborn, and I learned a long time ago that knowledge is power, even at 65. The trial is set for next month. Detective Gonzalez says it's a slam dunk. I have 9 months of video evidence, medical records, the testimony of a forensic toxicologist. Amber's lawyer is trying to plead it down, but the DA isn't budging. I'll testify. I'll sit in that courtroom and tell the truth about what happened. About how someone I welcomed into my family tried to kill me for my money. About how my son's wife smiled while she poisoned my tea. But here's what I won't say. I won't say that I'm a victim. Because I'm not. I'm a survivor. I'm a mother who protected her son from a monster. I'm a woman who refused to disappear just to keep the peace. Richard would be proud of me. I know he would. Sometimes I can feel him, sitting next to me on the porch swing, holding my hand the way he did for 40 years. You did good, Lynn, I imagine him saying. You did real good. And you know what? I did.